It's summertime, the sky is blue, the sun is out. You are relaxing on the beaches of Narragansett Bay. Fishermen are off in the distance. What you might not know is that Narragansett Bay is an ecosystem that is threatened. Fish are not as big or as plentiful, and because of a chemical process called ocean acidification, the waters struggle to maintain their pH while the fishermen struggle to make a living. But what is ocean acidification? The National Ocean Service says it's a reduction of the pH of the ocean over an extended period of time, caused primarily by an uptake of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Basically, the ocean becomes acidic due to the absorption of pollution and runoff. In fact, 22 million tons of pollution are absorbed every day. Ocean acidification occurs when man-made emissions and runoff filled with CO2 enter the atmosphere. The CO2 is then absorbed by the water and leads to an increased concentration of hydrogen ions. The increased concentration of these ions leads to higher acidity in the water and decrease in carbonate ions. Ultimately, shell growth is inhibited, and reproduction becomes problematic. Shellfish are essential to the bay's food web and Rhode Island's economy. While ocean acidification is ubiquitous, certain hotspots are affected to a dangerous degree. One of these hotspots is Narragansett Bay, a body of water that begins in Rhode's capital city of Providence. The ocean state has over 400 miles of coastline, more than half of which runs along Narragansett Bay. One of the main reasons that the bay is suffering from acidification is because of coastal development and human enterprise. Waste is being dumped into the ocean from sewage systems, farms, and fossil fuel emissions. It's hard enough to imagine taking a swim in water that polluted, but imagine being a clam or lobster and spending your whole life in a toxic reservoir. Certainly farms contribute greatly to our economy and lifestyle, but runoff from lawn and agricultural fertilizers contributes largely to ocean acidification. But besides fish, who else is impacted by ocean acidification in the bay? Well, Narragansett Bay is an estuary, which is a semi-enclosed body of water with free-range connection to the open sea. Estuaries are popular areas for marine life and fishing activities. The health of Narragansett Bay is of extreme importance to the community. It has a strong tourist draw, as well as a large presence of commercial and recreational fishermen. The success of these fisheries is contingent on having a healthy supply of fish to catch. Ocean acidification is hurting this supply. Over 250 species of fish, shellfish, mammals, and birds live in and around the bay. The health of the habitat is essential to the health of these creatures, but with more than 100,000 fishermen each year and over 32,000 recreational boats visiting the state every summer, the extra nitrogen and carbon in the water is harming marine life and, in turn, affecting the fishermen's livelihoods. In 2010, commercial fishing generated a total of $239.9 million in income for distributors, restaurants, and grocers in the state. And the industry employs over 9,000 people to boot. Talk about an economic output. Ultimately, the effects of acidification reach consumers. The local government has worked to solve the problem, imposing regulations on commercial fishing. These regulations have had negative short-term effects on the fishing economy and have contributed slightly to state unemployment, but they may secure a way of life and livelihood for the fishermen in future decades. But what can you do to help? You can support local groups that support the preservation of the environment. These groups include Save the Bay, the Narragansett Bay Commission, and the NRDC. These groups work hard to create policies that protect the ocean from pollution and dumping. One strong way to combat ocean acidification is to expand upon federal legal precedents with state and local programs. The state government has spent nearly $8 billion enforcing projects to repair riparian zones and mitigate stormwater issues. While federal programs are broad in scope, they still rely on our compliance. State and federal governments need to work together, and this cooperation needs your support. This is all to say that ocean acidification is a global issue with a local reach, jeopardizing a core aspect of Rhode Island's social and economic culture. Our responsibility is to act differently and more intelligently in the defense of marine life in Narragansett Bay. Thank you for watching.